Welcome to the Ultimate Race. In this variant of the Acceleracers collectible card game, instead of going through 4 realms with 3 vehicles, we are simply moving 1 vehicle through all 14 realms that Vert and Gelorum went through in the Ultimate Race. So each one we have lined up in a row in accordance with as close to the movie's order of realms that I can get to. And on an aside, the Fog Realm will be omitted for 2 reasons. One, because Gelorum was mysteriously missing the Fog Realm Acceleracharger during the movie, and so the Fog Realm likely wouldn't have opened up. And 2, Fog Realm bans shift cards, which is essential to Vert's team in this variant. So for each one of the realms as well, we have on the side hazards set. They are to be a surprise each turn, and we will explain that as we go along, turn by turn. And if you're randomizing the realms, you'll want to have each of these labeled because you don't want them in order necessarily like they are here, because then people can strategize and remember what realm is coming next, and so it's an unfair advantage. But for this case, the realm order is set as with the movie, so I just kept them in order here. But for example, you could just kind of mark it with something like this. I've marked the Cliffside realm with the Canyon realms artwork. Well, that's the Cliffside realms artwork, but we'll get to that. And so for the deck order, Gelorum's deck is made up entirely of mod cards and her RDO 9 color, and she has a sideline deck of all the Accelerachargers in the movies. I've kept these simply in order for simplicity's sake, just like the hazards here, but nonetheless, you'll probably end up having them out of order in a randomized gameplay. So for Vert's deck, we have kept his reverb, and he's running an entirely shift-based deck, with the exception of having hit in Nitrox 3 as his sideline, since he had a Nitrox 2 afterburner in the movie. And to be honest, this card makes things a lot more fair, but there are some slight rule changes. For example, no cards with APs of 4 or higher are allowed, although Accelerachargers are dropped down to 3 APs each for gameplay in this. Meanwhile, this mod will be set 1 turn in advance, costing 3 APs. In order to use it in the next turn at another cost of 3 APs, it'll be able to be used. And so that's basically how we utilize it. I kept the other Accelerachargers here just as a token system for when cards need tokens. And finally, just out of concern, yes, the Lava and Metro rounds are marked with these sleeves because I want to keep them in good condition, but if you are to actually play this, you'll want to keep everything either sleeved or out in the open, just so no one knows what they're about to enter next. But again, that's for randomized play. So, let's get into it. So to start off, Gelorum goes first and has a max hand limit of 4. So, my associated here will pick up her vehicle card and 3 of her deck's cards, whereas Vert's hand is capped at 5, so he picks up his vehicle card and 4 of his cards. We now move past the draw phase and moving toward the playing the vehicle phase. So you may play your first vehicle in the first round. So the first round we enter is the Monument realm. The only way to exit the ancient tombs of the Monument realm is to decipher their mysterious hieroglyphics, a bit of a challenge when racing past them at 300 miles per hour. And so, as well though, normally she would draw for her draw phase, but in this case she does not because she was going to enter a realm. So instead, and after she has entered the realm, she picks up the corresponding Acceleracharger from her sideline deck, and during her playing cards phase, she will activate it for the cost of 3 action points, which, as we see here, will be enough to get her out of the Monument realm on her next turn. And that is the end of the turn. My turn, since I have no such limiter, I draw. I will put reverb into the first realm. So for the cost of 2 action points, I will activate Slalom, allowing me to move through on my next turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and since she's going to advance into the next round, once again, she does not draw. So now you may advance your vehicle into the next realm. So for this realm, we hit the warped realm. And yes, that Acceleracharger is now discarded. You may place it to the side. Okay. The warped realm. In the warped realm, normal physics no longer apply. The track twists in on itself like a knot. Gravity appears to have gone on vacation, and reality itself gets, well, warped. This is the first realm where we actually have a hazard. But this hazard is not viable for Gelorum, so she is no longer affected by it. Meanwhile, you may now draw your Acceleracharger. During her spending action points phase, she plays the warped realm Acceleracharger, which will be enough to get her through this realm. Vert's turn. He draws and advances into the warped realm. Slalom is used up as shift cards only last for one realm. And now the hazard Escher's World is applied onto Reverb. Remove one shift card of choice from the target vehicle and place it in its owner's junk pile. In other words, in this realm, since the hazard is activated earlier on, and it does not apply yet, it applies in the spending action points phase. And so whichever Vert's first shift card is essentially forfeit. After that, any shift cards can be utilized because Escher's World has been used up. So I shall spend one action point to play Soundproof, which will be basically destroyed by Escher's World. And so the hazard for that realm is now entirely used up. Next, I shall spend 2 action points to play Simulator Run. Has Vert actually done a simulation run of the warped realm? I think not, but oh well in this case. It works for other realms, trust me. At least logically. And so with that, Vert ends his turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and once again she forfeits her draw, and she advances into the next realm, which is the Swamp Realm. You may now add your Acceleracharger to your hand. It's alive. This organic track sprouts from a fetid swamp and winds up around towering trees, growing and branching faster than the cars that race on it. So, in her spend action points phase, Gelorum will activate the Swamp Realm Acceleracharger. This is not enough to get her through the Swamp Realm, so next turn she will have a chance to draw a card. That said, I had almost forgotten the first hazard applies before the Acceleracharger can be activated, but since she doesn't have any mods active, Moss Gorillas is not of any use. This is a Gelorum specific hazard, so it's activated first over the other 2. And meanwhile, her Acceleracharger prevents all hazards from affecting that vehicle, so the rest of the hazards will not be revealed for Gelorum. Like I said, this hazard is used up, and it was Gelorum specific, so a Vert specific one, or a Vert usable or effectable one, will affect Vert on his next turn. It's Vert's turn. Draws and advances into the Swamp Realm, losing Simulator Run. And so for Vert, we have a couple of different ones of hazards that might be applied, so we shuffle them up, and let's see what his first hazard will be. Carnivorous plants. So for this one, and the first performance value of 1 will be destroyed, but if he doesn't play any performance values of 1, then he is safe. So in this case, though, I will play Recover Control for 1 action point in order to get rid of that Carnivorous Plants. That allows me to spend 1 more action point to activate Emergency Brake to get me through on my next turn. That ends Vert's turn. There is no spending action points in order to draw additional cards in this variant. It's Gelorum's turn, and since she has not advanced out, she will draw 1 card. At this point, normally Carnivorous Plants would apply, but with that hazard, there's no reason to even consider it. So, you may use what cards you have in order to try and escape the Swamp Realm. You need a power +1 for that. And Gelorum has spent 3 action points to play Wheel Shield. That will be enough to get her through on her next turn. It's Vert's turn. He draws. Before the next hazard can hit in phase 3, he's able to advance in phase 2. So we advance into the Storm Realm. The storm track loops and twists around seething thunderheads, forcing racers to slalom through heavy rains and spikes of lightning to escape. And the first hazard, ignoring the final hazard of the Swamp Realm for this, the first hazard is Lightning Barrage. This one can apply to either or, so similarly, when Gelorum hits this realm, this will apply to her side. So for this one, Vert will not be able to utilize power and performance, but in this case that is fine because I have the shift card Cornering, which will allow me to get through my next turn without being hit by the hazard. It's Gelorum's turn. She does not draw before she is advancing into the next realm, so she advances. The Swamp Realm Acceleracharger is now used up, and the hazard affects the vehicle in phase 3. That is enough to get rid of the Wheel Shield. She now draws in the same phase, or at the end of technically the first part, and during her spend action points phase, she will activate her Lightning Rod Acceleracharger. Does not necessarily help to get through this realm in the card game, but it is essentially a key that she must utilize in order to get into the next realm in this variant. It's Vert's turn, draws. Vert will be moving on into the next realm, losing the Cornering shift card, and this realm is the Lava Realm. Ultra hot driving conditions, flaming boulders, superheated gases, and splashing lava pose the greatest threats on the lava track. Only a cool hand can beat this molten heat. So I shall play the shift card Pedal to the Metal for 2 action points. Yes, technically there is a hazard for this, but it is a Gelorum specific hazard, hence why I did not play it here. But we will get to that. So it is now Gelorum's turn, and she will draw. Gelorum has activated Engine Elixir for 2 action points, but still needs 1 more speed value to get through the realm. Does she have such a card to play for 1 action point?
No.
In that case, the turn is ended. It's Vert's turn, so I shall draw. Advancing through the Lava Realm, we now hit the Cavern Realm. Glowing geodes and strange fungi light this convoluted underground track where vicious creatures lie in wait for any metal snacks that happen to drive past. And the corresponding hazard for this realm is Bat Swarm. So once again, utilization of a power or performance vehicle or shift card will potentially be forfeit. In this case, we are lucky enough to once again have something useful, soundproof. So Vert will bypass the Bat Swarm and be able to advance on his next turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and she draws. Gelorum has paid 1 action point to activate traction control, which will allow her to advance into the Lava Realm on her next turn. Okay, so we got 4 more realms in this one before the camera is out of range. So we shall move the camera in 4 realms. It's Vert's turn, draws, advances out of the Cavern Realm, losing the soundproof shift card, and advancing into the Water Realm. Speeding through race tubes formed of solid water, drivers on the ocean track must contend with hungry aquatic hazards while negotiating an ancient coral reef. So in this case, we have a Vert-specific and a Gelorum-specific hazard, and so the Vert-specific hazard will apply. Photoshoicks. Vert cannot activate shift cards this turn. So with that in mind, Vert ends his turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and she advances, forfeiting her draw. So she has hit the Lava Realm, and her Storm Acceleracharger is used up. And now she also draws her Lava Realm Acceleracharger. Don't play that just yet first, because that will be in phase 5. Meanwhile, in phase 3, we have the activation of the hazard Molten River, which will destroy one of her mods after 4 turns, including this one. So you may choose one of these two with the knowledge of what's ahead to get rid of in 4 turns. Okay, so no, it's still equipped. You've got 4 turns, so this will just be overlaid onto it. And I will be keeping track of those turns with these Acceleracharger counters. So the first turn is now passed, or at least it is technically since we're moving into phase 4. And now we move into phase 5, where she may play her Lava Realm Acceleracharger. So she plays it at the cost of 3 action points. It says 4 on the card, but as we said, Accelerachargers only cost 3 action points in this variant. Gelorum's turn ends. Its first turn, draws. Photoshoicks is now used up. And just in case, it's worth mentioning that the realm-specific hazard, Tsunami, would technically hit, which means Vert is barred from using his Nitrox 3 in this realm. So Vert needs 2 in order to escape with power. So for 3 action points, I shall play Under the Hood. That ends my turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and she has enough to move through the Lava Realm, so she will advance into the Cavern Realm, losing her Lava Realm Acceleracharger and drawing her Cavern Realm Acceleracharger. Now Bat Swarm takes effect, and there are 2 viable targets, but this is where you may once again choose one to get rid of. And this should be an obvious choice.
This one?
Yep, because it's already going to be destroyed in the long run, so you might as well just kill it early. For cards, get rid of that. For hazards that would affect over multiple turns, they will still apply outside the realm, at least in terms of this variant. We would consider otherwise for Acid Bath if we were playing Reactor Realm. So, now that it's phase 5, she is free to play her Acceleracharger for 3 action points, which in this case is the Cavern Realm Acceleracharger, which has the special ability of letting her draw 2 more cards. It of course is now the end phase, and her hand is capped at 4, so she must discard down. It's Vert's turn. He draws. This is a tough call, because as a person who has tested this variant a lot, I know what's ahead. But at the same time, it's also one of those, which card do I really want to play in this scenario? This is not looking good for the long run here. I'll risk it. I'll play for 2 action points Rubbin' is Racing to allow me to escape on my next turn. It's Gelorum's turn. She forfeits her draw, for she is able to advance into the Water Realm. You thought that early lead by Vert was going to last? No. The Cavern Realm Acceleracharger is now used up. And she is now subject to the hazard Tsunami. So no street mods can be utilized in this realm. But of course that doesn't matter because she will now draw her Water Realm Acceleracharger as well, which she will activate. And that is going to be enough to get her through anyway. So it's Vert's turn. Draws. Advances forward into the Ice Realm. An unstable plane atop a huge glacier, the ice track suffers massive geological disruptions, including the impact of falling icicles as huge as skyscrapers. Both ship cards are used up, but in this case, Reverb doesn't have to do anything as his speed is more than enough to get through this realm. Now it is time to adjust the camera. If you want to cover up your cards, we shall move this forward. So, since Vert does not have to do anything, he ends his turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and she advances into the Ice Realm, losing her Water Realm Acceleracharger. Meanwhile, the Ice Realm hazard is also going to be applied, but you may now draw your Acceleracharger. And the Ice Realm eliminates all race mods and bars all race mods, but in this case, Gelorum has no race mods, so this has been a useless hazard. During her spend action points phase, she will play the Ice Realm Acceleracharger for 3 action points, which will be enough to get her through the Ice Realm anyway. It's Vert's turn. He draws and advances into the Metro Realm. The metro track seems eerily familiar at first, but this ordinary cityscape is devoid of life. Driverless cars and trucks careening along the deserted streets, hunting down racers one collision at a time. Thank you, Acceleracers Hub, for getting us this card. So this poses the most difficult dilemma in terms of escaping. So in this case, I shall first play for 1 action point, Endure. Oh yes, I almost forgot about the hazards. I played this so many times that I keep remembering that this hazard does not really affect Vert because it's a speed focused one. But nonetheless, I have to avoid speed cards if I want to bypass this hazard. And so, for 1 more action point, I shall activate Emergency Brake. With that, I end my turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and she once again forfeits her draw and advances into the Metro Realm, losing her Ice Realm Acceleracharger. She now draws her Metro Realm Acceleracharger, but before she can play that, the first hazard of the realm is applied. Upon entering the realm, she immediately crashes into a blown hydrant, which destroys her mod. It is now the spend action points phase, where she will spend 3 action points to play the Metro Realm Acceleracharger, which protects her from all hazards, meaning that kamikaze semis will not be a problem for her. It's Vert's turn. He draws. Kamikaze semis is still in place, so I have to be mindful of what I play. I currently have 5 and then a terrain bonus for 6 points, so I need 2 more to escape. So I shall play the shift card Shortcut for 3 action points, which allows me to get back 1 shift card from my junk pile. So I shall get back Emergency Brake. I end my turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and since she has not advanced out, she may now draw 1 card. With no more hazards left in her way, what will she play? 2 action points, she's played polyalloy wheels, which will give her an additional 1 and a terrain bonus for another one. Says 3, 4, 5, 6. She needs 2 more. If she has any single action point cards, she may utilize those to help. And she has played traction control. If I haven't mentioned this by now, it should be apparent that for Gelorum's side, she is not limited by mod ability rules. So that's all the action points that she can play this turn. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So next turn she'll need 1 more in order to escape the realm. It's Vert's turn. Draw. Kamikaze Semi is still in play. Have to be careful here. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I shall play Emergency Brake for 1 action point to escape on my next turn. It's Gelorum's turn and she draws. Having all 3 action points available to her, what will she do? She has played another polyalloy wheels for 2 action points, allowing her to escape on her next turn. It's Vert's turn. Draw. Vert will now advance into the next realm, the Cliffside realm. The Cliffside track is perfect for drivers who like hairpin turns, rock slides, and waterfalls, and for those who want additional thrills, there's always the giant vulture. Now for some added clarification, this is the actual artwork for Cliffside, but that was misprinted in this card game. And we are not going to utilize the Mutant Vulture for this game because 1, it would destroy Gelorum's Acceleracharger, as one that we especially know she utilized in the movie specifically to avoid hairpin turns. And 2, we never saw it in the movie. So instead, the only hazard that we have to avoid here is hairpin turn. So, in order to work on this realm, I do not like these choices, so I shall spend 1 action point to play cornering in order to have that be scrapped by hairpin turn. Wait, so that'll apply to Gelorum's side next turn. And I shall spend 2 action points to play reaction time. I end my turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and she advances into the Cliffside realm, forfeiting her draw and using up her Metro Realm Acceleracharger. You may now draw your Cliffside Acceleracharger. And now hairpin turn is applied. You may choose 1 of your 3 cards for hairpin. Well, actually, since it's speed focused, only 1 card is affected. Traction control is destroyed. Because now you spend the action point phase where you must play your Acceleracharger. Oh. Vert's turn, draws. We'll spend 2 action points to play another reaction time. That will have to end my turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and she advances into the next realm, using up her Acceleracharger. This is the Pipeline realm. The so-called Neon Pipeline's 360 track unnerves most racers because it forces them to drive at all angles, even upside down, to complete the course. And she has drawn her Acceleracharger. But first comes the hazard. Choke valves. You may choose one of your polyalloy wheels. It's both the same ones. 1 polyalloy is destroyed. And for 3 action points, Gelorum will play her Acceleracharger, which in conjunction with her polyalloy wheels will allow her to escape on her next turn. It's Vert's turn. Draws. Pass. Gelorum's turn. She advances through into the next realm using up her Acceleracharger and hitting the junk realm. And there's no description, and basically mod ability rules don't apply. So you may get your junk realm Acceleracharger, but hold up, because now we've got the first applicable hazard. At this point, I'm trying to remember which one goes first. Right. So the first applicable hazard, because of fairness, since Gelorum has to play an Acceleracers this turn, will be the Mechanoid Destroyer, which in this case will get rid of her polyalloy wheels. You may now play your Accelercharger, which puts you one short of escaping the junk realm this turn. It is now Vert's turn. Draw. For God's sake. This is the fairness of Vert's deck, otherwise it would be completely broken. Is the dead draw chance. Gelorum's turn. She draws, and the next hazard applies. Wrecking Balls. She may not play a mod this turn, which means she is stuck. It's Vert's turn, and he draws. Plays Recover Control. Should be enough to move into the next round. It's Gelorum's turn, and she draws. Now, having nothing in her way, she may play a mod to help escape the junk realm. She has played Balance Box for 2 action points. Gelorum ends her turn. It's Vert's turn, and he moves into the Neon Pipeline realm. Well, draws first. And now must contend with choke valves. In this case, I shall play Downshift. Vert ends his turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and she advances into the next realm, losing her junk realm Acceleracharger, and picking up her Ruins realm Acceleracharger from her sideline deck. We have hit the Ruins realm. Enormous statues, falling columns, and a precarious marble track sprawl through the Ruins realm. It's rumored the statues come to life. That would explain the giant fist prints in all the red colors. Requires a speed value of 5 to escape, and the hazard for this is Stone Colossus, which immediately destroys the balance box. During this turn, Gelorum must spend 3 action points to play her Ruins realm Acceleracharger, which does not help in any way, but it is a key for this variant. It is now Vert's turn, and he draws. Vert, having bypassed the choke valves and using up his downshift, will move into the junk realm where he has a realm advantage, a terrain bonus. So, in order to keep moving forward, shall play Drifting to bypass the Mechanoid Destroyer. So Vert will be able to advance on his next turn. It's Gelorum's turn, and she draws. Can she play a card that can help her get through the Ruins realm? And she has played Racing Slicks. So next turn, Gelorum will be able to advance. It's Vert's turn, and he draws. Having bypassed the Mechanoid Destroyer and using up his drifting, he is moving on into the Ruins realm, where he doesn't need to do anything. So Stone Colossus is pointless. But he will have to discard down. So in order to discard down, let's get rid of Pedal to the Metal. This should be interesting because I have not used my Nitrox 3 yet. Will that come into play? We shall see. It is Gelorum's turn. Having enough to advance, she moves into the final realm, losing her Ruins realm Acceleracharger. The Cosmic Realm. The Cosmic Track consists of energy rings looped around a small moon. Meteors and satellite debris bombard the track, and micro black holes can instantly suck unwary cars to oblivion. And the hazard for this realm, yes, you may pick up your Acceleracharger as well, is Meteor Shower, which will destroy her Racing Slicks. And during this turn, she shall play her Cosmic Realm Acceleracharger for 3 action points. Vert, I draw, moves into the Cosmic Realm. Must be careful though with the Meteor Shower. So I shall play for 2 action points. Ooh. So this is an interesting scenario for all you watching. There are two ways that I can do this here. One allows me to win this turn, and the other allows Gelorum to win by one turn. This is where the fun can show. I can either, one, win by playing 2 action points downshift and 1 action point burnout to advance on my next turn and win. Or to be accurate to the movie, I can prime my Nitrox 3 by setting it, and when it's set, the hazard doesn't affect it, but it doesn't matter because I have dodging disaster. So I dodge the meteor shower, which will allow Gelorum 1 turn to play something. So let's go that way. Let's have fun here. Gelorum's turn and she draws. Does she have the 3 action point power card that I know is in her deck? There it is, Tweak Box! Which would allow her to win on her next turn. And with Vert, if he drew a card, he would then activate his Nitrox 3, in this case in the movie, Nitrox 2 Afterburner to boost up to catch it just right behind Gelorum. So they're entering in the escape realm at the final bit. But Gelorum wins if you do that, or Vert could have won if I played that. It is basically a perfect tie. This has been the perfect ending. I was not expecting an actual 1-turn victory in the first take of this, because so often I've had Gelorum win by 4 realms, Vert win by 1 realm. It is rare for them to win by 1 realm each, let alone for a choice on who gets to win. That has been the Ultimate Race, and thank you for watching.